You've been watching fireworks shows your whole life, but you probably have no idea that you're actually looking at a chemical miracle that could easily turn into a total disaster if one tiny thing goes sideways. Most people just see the sparkles and hear the loud booms, but there is a secret language hidden in those explosions that tells a story of ancient history and modern math. Today, we are going behind the scenes of those massive displays that light up the night sky on the 4th of July or New Year's Eve. We are going to talk about why blue is the hardest color to make, why some fireworks sound like screaming ghosts, and how the people in charge manage to time everything to the beat of a song without blowing themselves up in the process. By the time we're done, you're going to be the smartest person at the next show you attend, and you'll finally understand why these shows cost thousands of dollars for just a few minutes of fun. Let's start with the basics, because fireworks haven't actually changed all that much in about 1,000 years. It all started in China with a happy accident involving charcoal, sulfur, and a salty mineral. Back then, people were actually trying to find a way to live forever, but instead, they accidentally found a recipe to make things go boom. They started stuffing this mixture into bamboo sticks and throwing them into fires to scare off evil spirits. Fast forward to today, and we use that same basic black powder to launch giant shells into the air. A firework is basically a giant cardboard ball filled with what pros call stars. These stars aren't actual stars, obviously. They are small pellets of chemicals about the size of a marble or a grape. These little pellets are what create the colors and shapes you see. This is where it gets really cool and a little bit like a science cook-off. To get those bright colors, the people making them use different metals. It is a lot like how a flame changes color if you throw something specific into it. If you want a deep blood red, you use a metal called strontium. If you want a bright grassy green, you go with barium. But here is a secret that most people don't know. Blue is the absolute hardest color to make. To get a good blue, you have to use copper. The problem is that copper is super sensitive to heat. If the firework gets just a little bit too hot, the blue color completely falls apart and just turns into a boring white or disappears entirely. If you ever go to a show and see a really deep, vibrant blue that stays blue the whole time, you know that the person who built that firework is a master of their craft. It is the ultimate way to show off in the fireworks world. Now, let's talk about the scary stuff, because it's not all just pretty lights and cheers. Every single show is a high-stakes gamble against nature and physics. Imagine you have a shell that is supposed to shoot 500 feet into the sky. It's sitting inside a heavy tube on the ground called a mortar. If the fuse burns too fast, or if the shell gets stuck because it's a little bit too big for the tube, you get what pros call a flower pot. That's when the firework explodes right inside the tube while it's still on the ground. It's loud, it's incredibly dangerous, and it can ruin the entire show in a split second. Then there is the wind. A little bit of a breeze is actually good, because it clears out the smoke so you can see the next set of shells. But if the wind picks up too much, it can carry those hot sparks right into the crowd or into a dry patch of grass nearby. This is why you see those fire trucks parked nearby at every big show. The people running the show are constantly checking weather reports and wind speeds because they know that one bad gust can turn a celebration into a fire drill. Have you ever wondered how they make specific shapes like hearts, smiley faces, or rings like the planet Saturn? It's all about how they pack those little stars inside the cardboard shell. If they want a circle, they place the stars in a circle around the explosive core in the middle. When it hits the sky and pops, the stars fly out in that exact pattern. But it's really tricky because once that shell leaves the ground, it can tumble and spin in the air. If it explodes while it's facing away from you, that heart shape just looks like a messy line of light or a random blob. That's why you'll usually see them fire 3 or 4 of the same shape at once. They are hoping that at least one of them will pop at the perfect angle so the crowd can actually tell what it is. Then we get to the part everyone waits for, the grand finale. This is the chaotic, loud, and bright end to the show where they fire off hundreds of shells in just a minute or two. Back in the day, people had to run around with torches and light these by hand, one by one. Can you imagine the stress of that? One wrong step, and you're standing in the middle of a war zone. Nowadays, almost every big show is done with computers and something called electric matches. A computer program is synced up to a music track, and it sends a tiny bit of electricity to a wire inside the fuse. This allows for insane precision. They can time a boom to the exact second a drum hits, or a singer hits a high note. It turns the show from a random series of pops into a sky-high dance. Next time you're sitting on a blanket in the grass looking up at the sky, remember that you're watching a perfect mix of ancient history, dangerous chemistry, and high-tech computer programming. It's a craft that takes years to master and only seconds to disappear into smoke. It's one of the few things left in the world that can make a whole city stop what they are doing and look up at the same time.